Good morning, Do I need to change? Do I need to hit anything, Jason? Good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Baxter Gang. I'm Communication and Marketing Director for the City of Tempe. Thank you all for being here today. We have a short number of speakers for you. I'd like to introduce Tempe Mayor Corey Woods to give you a brief summary of what happened and what's next.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Obviously, this is a very, very challenging day. We had an extreme microburst yesterday here in the city of Tempe. At one point, about an estimated 22,000 people lost power, and well over 130 people were displaced. We have a lot of things going on right now to make sure that we can aid those folks who've been affected by what's going on yesterday with the storm. We currently have our Escalante Center that's open for people who have actively been displaced, whether from their apartments or their homes. We also have a partnership with the Arizona Humane Society. If those folks happen to have pets, they will be picked up directly from the Humane Society to ensure appropriate care for their animals. We are also working with Maricopa County as well in terms of the emergency management of this situation. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to fix this as quickly as we can. We definitely want to make sure that we urge patience, though. Tempe is obviously over 40 square miles and totally landlocked, but at the same time, there was a record amount of damage that actually took place yesterday. So it's going to take some bit of time to really make sure that we can get all of this cleaned up and get everything restored as it was. So our crews are pretty much out right now working around the clock, and I wanted to make sure to thank a number of folks here, clearly the folks from our Tempe Police Department, Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Division, Tempe Solid Waste Division, and also all of our utility workers. There's been a lot of folks out from SRP and APS and Southwest Gas and all types of folks who've been frankly out coordinating this recovery response that we have going on. I also want to make sure to thank the American Red Cross as well for their partnership. They've also been exceptional partners on the ground to make sure that we can collaborate as much as we possibly can, and as I said, get everything recovered and back up and running as soon as possible. The other thing I just want to say before I turn this over is I want to thank the residents as well. I saw countless posts from people on Facebook and X and Instagram of people in various neighborhoods coming out and helping one another during what is a very difficult time, whether they were helping them chop down trees or move debris to the alley or to curbside, or just frankly to offer people a safe place to be if they had lost power and needed to find a place to shelter. Our residents have really stepped up and really reached out and helped one another during what is one of the most challenging times that I've ever seen in the 22 plus years that I've lived here in the city of Tempe. So I want to thank our residents for coming together and for doing everything they can to help each other during what is a very difficult and challenging time. But once again, thank you to all the men and women behind me for the work that they are doing. As I said, we're going to keep doing everything we can to get everything back up and running as you would have expected, but it definitely is going to take some time. But I want to assure you, we are working on it very proactively, and as Tempeans, we all know that we are going to be okay. But we're just going to have to keep working together to get things back where they need to be. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Assistant Chief Tony Butch to come give you an update from the Fire Medical Rescue Division.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Tony Butch with Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Department, and I will give you a broad overview of the incident that occurred yesterday from the storm. Obviously, we had a very busy day yesterday. For the city of Tempe, we responded to over 180 incidents. To put that in perspective, that's a 50% increase from our normal average everyday response. But to achieve that response in a 3-hour window, during that storm, we had over 100 incidents. Those incidents were responded by every Tempe Fire Medical Rescue Unit, in addition to the utilization of our automatic aid system. And I would like to give a special thanks to our partners in the automatic aid system with the City of Phoenix, the City of Mesa, the City of Chandler, Gilbert, and Arizona Fire Medical Rescue Authority for assisting us in responding to all those incidents. Now, to get a good understanding of the gravity of those calls that we were running yesterday, that was a large number of trees down, fire alarms, flooding, and medical calls for service. During that time, we were able to identify a number of critical zones that was causing some serious damage to our community. For example, we had multiple occupancies, apartments that were damaged. We've had over 550 residents occupancy damaged in apartment buildings and condos. That was unfortunately displacing 130 people from their homes. In addition to that damage, we had small businesses in another area where we were unfortunately losing over nearly 70 of those small businesses had damage to their buildings to where they are going to be delayed in the operation of their day in, day out occupancies. So as you can see, we were dealing with a lot to combat and answer those calls. But in a way for us to address and handle those needs, we activated our Emergency Operations Center in partnership with all of our city departments. Currently, we are partnering with MCDEM, Maricopa Department of Emergency Management, Arizona Department of Emergency Management, Red Cross, to try to identify, in the National Weather Service, to do dashboard assessments of all the damage in the surrounding areas. So at this point, crews are out in the streets right now. As you can see around you, there is a lot of damage, a lot of trees down that we're just trying to address and take care of. So our emergency operation period will be operating for the next 48 hours as we continue to assess everything, and from there we will give updates as needed. Now, just as a reminder, this took a long toll on the city and community, so I'm going to ask all of the citizens of Tempe, visitors, and neighboring cities to check on people in Tempe. Check on your neighbors. Make sure that we are looking and identifying any lines down, power issues, tree damage. This is a long process. We've gone from response to now we're in the recovery phase. So we're going to ask your assistance in assisting us in that recovery phase. But please make sure that we're checking in on everyone, making sure that they're healthy and safe, and making sure Tempe is safe. At this point, I'll turn it over to Tara Ford to talk about our Green Organics program.
Hi, so as Tony said, I'm Tara Ford. I'm the Public Works Director, and I want to talk a little bit about the bulk trash or the green organics. So Public Works has worked closely with transportation this weekend and all day yesterday to remove the debris from the right-of-ways, and that was our main focus, to remove the hazards from any right-of-way, get that all out of the way. And then from there, we ask that you be patient. We will do our regular bulk pickup in your area, and then we will have crews working overtime, and we'll go to the hardest hit areas and try to do additional pickups in those areas. So whichever's easiest for you, you could put your green organics. Once you cut the trees down, they have to be no more than 4 feet long and 19 inches in diameter, and our crews will come by and pick that up, whether it's in the front of your house or the back of your house, whichever's easier for you. We do ask for your patience. You can call 311 and let us know, and we will make sure that we'll hit your area. We'll give you a timeline. We don't have the schedule right now because we are sticking to our regular bulk trash pickup schedule, and along with that, we're adding, like I said, extra crews, overtime to get these removed. Also, code enforcement will not be enforcing if those are left out longer than your normal time. We're working closely with them to ensure we can get that picked up, just so they're not in the right-of-way or blocking any entrances. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure we had spellings for everyone's name for you. Assistant Chief Tony Butch, T-O-N-Y-B-U-T-C-H, Tara Ford, T-A-R-A-F-O-R-D. We also have Richard Atkins here to answer any tree-related questions that you may have. And Mayor Corey Woods, of course, M-A-Y-O-R-C-O-R-E-Y-W-O-O-D-S. Mayor?
Thank you. I guess we will now open up for any questions that you might have.
What's the number one priority right now?
Taking care of the people. I mean, in Tempe, frankly, the nearly 200,000 people are the most important thing that we have. They are really the lifeblood of this community. So as you know, as Assistant Chief Butch talked about, make sure as residents that you check on your neighbors if you haven't heard from someone or you're concerned that you haven't talked to someone that you would have normally interacted with. Please make sure to reach out to that person or those people to ensure their safety. But we first and foremost want to make sure that we are guaranteeing as much as we can quality of life for people who are frankly have been who've been displaced or frankly been put out of their home in some way, shape, or form. But the first and foremost reaction that we always have is making sure that we can take care of the people who might have been affected by this microburst.
Mayor Woods, what type of resources are available to the 130 people that are displaced? What can they do if they are without shelter going forward?
So we have a temporary shelter set up actually at the Escalante Multi-Generational Center. And so we would encourage anyone, if they've been displaced, they don't have power or there's some other issue going on. A lot of people had trees fall on roofs. A lot of folks have pets that they need help taking care of. We would ask that they actually go over to the Escalante Center, which I believe is over at 2150 East Orange Street in Tempe in zip code 85281. We can take care of you over there. And also, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a pet for whatever reason, we can also make sure to have the Arizona Humane Society come and pick up that pet to ensure that while you might be staying at the shelter waiting for power to get restored, that we make sure that we're taking care of your pets along with you.
You mentioned 4 feet and 17 inches in diameter for the threshold to pick up any sort of this green vegetation. If somebody needs help picking up some of these heavy trees, what should we do going forward? You need help.
Tara, you
So they can call us. When it is on private property, it is their responsibility. When it's in the right-of-way, the city comes and does it. But if they don't want to call their own landscaper to pick it up, it does have to be the 4 feet. That's what our crews can handle, 19 inches in diameter. That's correct.
Any injuries or with those medical calls yesterday, or the people trapped inside?
No, yesterday there were no trapped victims or patients from the incident, and the medical calls were our normal standard medical responses, nothing directly related that we've identified to the storm.
What's the estimated cost of the damage?
At this point, we are still doing our damage assessment. We're just still assessing the entire city because, you know, for some city and areas it was a holiday yesterday, so a lot of business owners, residents may have been out of town, and they're just now getting into their occupancy, their place of business, and identifying and seeing all the damage that's been done. We are still receiving calls as I was driving in still of neighbors identifying lines, power lines down, and damage to their homes or the utilities. So we're still trying to see the entire scope of this incident, so I can't give you a cost at this point.
Worry, does this rise to the level of a state of emergency where maybe people could, whether it's their homes or their businesses, perhaps get some funding to help them get back up?
Our first responders are currently evaluating that about whether or not we think that this would meet the criteria specifically. But yeah, we are definitely looking into that and exploring that option as we speak.
Is there anything that surprised you or Kiwanis Park? It looks pretty rough. You know, you've lived here for a long time. With surveying the damage, you know, you live here, you love living here. What surprised you that said, man, that one took a hard hit, I haven't seen that?
Well, I mean, I have lived here for over 22 years, and I've never seen a storm like the one that we saw yesterday. So absolutely, when I was at 1:30 or so, I was out myself, actually. And when I was trying to drive back from roughly the Shalimar neighborhood, right around probably Price and Southern, I noticed that every street light was out as I was heading west back to Rural Road. When I went north on Rural Road to go back to my home, because I live in the middle of downtown Tempe, every traffic signal was out from Southern all the way until University. So that's when I first realized, before I even saw all of the downed trees, how extensive the damage was. And of course, as I continued talking to city staff and checking a lot of media reports and also being on social media, looking at some of our neighborhood Facebook pages, that's when I recognized a lot of the damage that had been done to people's homes and cars and small businesses. So while I've lived here for over 22 years, I can definitely say I've seen some storms during my time, but this is absolutely the most extreme one that I've seen during my time here in Tempe or in Arizona.
This might be more of a utility company question, but do we know if all of the power has been restored yet?
I'm not speaking on behalf of the utility company. However, I can tell you our last update, we were on a call in the Emergency Operations Center with APS and SRP. Approximately, we have maybe 1,000 residents still without power. But that should be back on between 12 and 2:30 today.
The operations center is still fairly new, a little over a year old. Can you sort of talk about the role that has played in the response to this?
Yes, sir. So this was actually the Emergency Operations Center. This is housed at our fire admin building. However, the Real-Time Operations Center, I know that they were monitoring the storm and incident. We were providing both PD and fire with update information based on their cameras and what they were seeing at the time. So it was very beneficial, but just like the fire department, PD was also extremely busy, and so it was there was a lot to see and capture.
In some of the worst areas that you responded to yesterday, can you kind of describe what you were seeing as far as the damage goes to more so structures than just down trees that didn't really hit anyone or anything?
Sure. There's a couple of occupancies, businesses that had their roof completely wiped off. Has 164 units and almost 70 businesses were displaced and hit from that, and that was from the large gusts of wind. In addition, we've had some apartment complexes down the street that you'll see massive trees, wind damage to roofs. That's going to damage and hinder about 9 of the buildings from being able to occupy those occupancies at this point as well.
I just want to double check. People are supposed to cut down their own trees and cut them to the size before the city needs to fix it up?
For residential, we're not able to come onto private property, but at the same time, I'm really glad you asked that question because it's one of the most common questions I've seen on social media today and last night. People can absolutely, if they're able to get those trees or other debris or green waste into the alley, they can absolutely do that. But if they don't have the ability to, many of our residents said, I don't have the ability to pick up such heavy items and drag them to my alley. Am I able to leave them curbside? They absolutely are. And we will make sure that our teams come by and get them as soon as we possibly can. I should also note, too, in some of the Facebook groups I've seen, there are a lot of neighborhood leaders and other residents who've been posting some of the services that they know of that actually for a very affordable, low cost will come out and cut down trees for you or chop those trees up to make sure that they meet the city standards so we can actually come and retrieve them from your property. So definitely make sure to check out those services or check out some of what your neighbors are actually sharing when it comes to resources, because I think that could be tremendously helpful during this time.
Are you anticipating needing any support from the federal government in lieu of the damage?
Not at the moment, but at the same time, I'm in regular communication with our police and fire emergency medical rescue team to make sure that whatever they need, they will get. So if at some point they come to me and they request additional assistance from another entity, whether it's state or federal, we'll make sure to seek that out at that time. Just can I just say this one really quick thing before we go? I just, really appreciate you all being here today, and of course, appreciate the resilience of our residents. We know that a lot of people were very much traumatized and devastated by the events that happened yesterday. When you're talking about being displaced from your home, when you're talking about your small business, all the operations being paused because of damage to that facility, we recognize how emotionally difficult that can be and how traumatic it can be to a resident or a small business owner. So obviously, our hearts and our prayers go out to the people who've been affected by this storm. But I can guarantee you, this team, they are the best of the business, and they're going to do the best we can to get everything back up and running the way that you knew it as soon as possible. But we do ask for your patience. But everyone behind me and the entire team at the City of Tempe, I can guarantee you we are on top of this. So thank you.
Were there damage to municipal areas other than Thomas Park?
Any other parks or city facilities? I know we had a little bit of flooding at some offices at Tempe City Hall on a couple of floors, but I mean, maybe Tara could speak more to that, or?
Yeah, we had some minor damage to our Kyrene water reclamation facility. Some of the skylights got damaged, water damage came in. One of our gates was like bent in a U shape entering. So minor damage that we'll be able to handle, but that's what we've had.
That won't affect day-to-day activities?
That will not. And we had some trees down, but again, we just continue working around it, get everything cleared. it has not impacted day to day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you attending.